Hello, everyone, again. Matthew Janisek, coming at you tonight from the great state of Texas. Got some time to come down to my cousin's ranch and take it in. And tonight's topic of discussion, really, I just wanted to ask some follow up. Many of you have seen and commented on my earlier videos before the election um, about a lot of questions that I had moving into things. And ironically, not ironically, sadly, none of those questions I really don't believe have actually been answered even to this point. I, like many of you, have probably struggled, like balance, and how much is too much to consume. Um, and I've unplugged for quite a little bit of time here, but I'm told Wednesday is supposed to be a big day. Wednesday's a big day. Well, we'll see if Wednesday is a big day. We've supposed to have been having a lot of big days, but really none of the questions of any depth and substance have really been answered. So how's your pursuit of the truth going? If it's going anything like many of us, it's probably very, very frustrating. And the discussion that we get on it through the mainstream is mostly just utter nonsense. So, a couple big points. Probably the largest topic of non-discussion is the biggest cause of much of the global conflict is to what extent are we a global community, and to what extent are nations still sovereign? So much of the conflict that is going on within borders and external of national boundaries and borders rests on that relationship. And unfortunately, you have to look to try to find reasonable intellectual discussion on valid points and claims from both sides of that spectrum. We hear this grand talk of a great reset. I don't know who coined the phrase. I don't know where that came from exactly. I just know I've been hearing it a lot lately. And really, what does it mean? If you're talking about resetting things that we don't even understand how we got to a position where we need to reset them, if you're going to reset it, would you want to have a different outcome at the conclusion of the game? Might that be a better idea and a better way to learn from history? So you're going to have a lot of young people, teachers asking questions, and students have asked lots of these very important questions, and they're looking for ways that they can be answered. And I'm hoping that in some of these discussions that maybe teachers out there, you can answer some of these very important questions of the modern era, tie our history into it, and be able to answer questions of complexity for kids. Because if we are not doing that, we know that the sourcing our young people are learning from is much worse than any perception of imbalance that may come from an adult in the classroom. I watched Social Dilemma over the holiday break. It's not like I didn't know those things were happening, but to see that great level of detail and to just back up many of the suspicions that I've already had, that it just feels like we're living in this matrix kind of complex and prescribed order. And to a large extent, that's becoming more culturally apparent. Everybody's talking about the dystopian novels, and Orwell is showing up in everybody's conversations, and anybody that's really thinking about the issues that we're dealing with on a national and global scale. So, just looking at that social dilemma, it was very revealing. I hope to young people, but I hope to parents alike, that if we're going to have any reset that's worth considering at all, we might not want to use the term reset, since it deals with, in large part, part of the big problem we got into this in the first place, and that's video games. Okay. And it isn't video games in and of themselves. It's this perception that there are no consequences for wrong choices or bad action. And you just reset stuff when you don't get your way. And life doesn't work quite like that in any meaningful way. But again, the meaning of our lives is tied up in things that might not be so meaningful, might actually have been revealing themselves as being quite empty. The entertainment culture, right? So a lot of this is what's happening in our current national and international, I guess, discussion. And that's what's happening. People are becoming more aware of this. Okay? That's it. It isn't like everybody that is asking these questions is picking a side. Because the narrative, as we have all seen it prescribed in the mainstream, is one of great polarity. And it's one of not even discussing issues that are intellectually comprehended in any way or give merits to complex arguments and realities of policy and realities of political interests and social and cultural interests and economic interests, and with a complete understanding and really a guide for understanding in a national debate and discussion. We've lost that right now. It's like way gone, okay? And where you are finding it, though, is in places like you're at right now. So you will continue to see the Rogans of the world, and God bless him and everybody else that's taking on these tasks of really helping bring the dialogue where it needs to be, which is in the center. The center is the light. Truth is the center. And it's the easiest way to balance extremes. So maybe that's a good place to stop here today, and maybe follow up. Let's see what happens. Wednesday's a big day, they say. We'll see.